Well, hello and welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Margaret Pennard. I'm a historical fiction and fantasy author, and you're on my channel, so welcome to Booktube and our regularly scheduled programming where I am here live and in color, and the only lag you have is because of the technology. I am actually here Friday morning, so happy Friday, everybody. I have a channel where I do book reviews and wrap-ups, book tags, and author updates, and any old other topic that is book related, and come here to chat about it. So hopefully that is up your alley, and you may want to subscribe and stay here for the long term. Ask the people in the chat what they think about it. This is my therapeutic book haul of 2026. So on the thumbnail, I was putting a little picture of Bean, my cat, in, and he does think I'm crazy because he sees all the books on the floor and he's like, lady. So we'll start out with my cat's opinion of me. There we go. What better boundary rails for mental health, right? So the purpose of today is to actually go over the book haul. I don't do these very often, maybe once a year, because there's like an explosion of book buying for some reason, and it tends to be this reason. So I was in California again this year for about 5 weeks, and I was helping my family do the taxes for the family business. I am not a bookkeeper. It was not my area of expertise or comfort. And so I'm learning to do this, to, take over the reins, as my parents are wanting to retire and not have to do all this detailed stuff. Well, they're still going to have to do the paper gathering, but I am slowly figuring out how to do all the things in the ways that they do. So that's exciting in terms of life lessons at all. So that's why I was in California for so long. That is where I grew up, on the Central Coast. I did have a wonderful independent bookstore day video stream highlighting my 4 rotation indie bookstores on the Central Coast. So I will pop that up here afterwards, but that was back on April 25th if you wanted to check it out. And I did some stats. I'm not doing graphs, but I definitely did stats about where these came from. So I'm going to go through what all the books were and then tell you the different sources, tell you the main reasons I bought them, a few divisions, kind of like you would see in StoryGraph in the actual graphs, and then let you guys guess how many, because I'm pretty sure no one's going to be able to count as I'm reading them off, just like all in one breath, hopefully. And then we'll take a little break, and then I'll go back, and then I'll sort of go into all the books, because they're all out on the couch right now, and I'm going to go through them by like genre or grouping characteristic, and we'll start big and then we'll get small, and there's only one left at the end. So if you think you want to buddy read any of these, please let me know in the comments. I am going to paste in the book list with all of the buy links that I had. I think 2 of them did not have availability on Bookshop, but all the rest did. And so if any of these look interesting, you will note I have a few that I have read already, but most of them I have not. So if you want to buddy read any of these and you have them in your collection, that would be ideal. But if you don't, the second best would be to buy it through my link, because I get a small percentage, maybe like $1.11, when you buy like a regular new book, as an affiliate reward. So that would be really nice. So yeah, I'll go through and then I'll paste it in afterwards, but I didn't want to ruin the surprise. So if you want to do buddy reads, please tell me in the comments down below. All right, and then I'm gonna say hi to the chat first. Here we go. This is in the description, but I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember the jelly beans in the jar. This was a thing when I grew up. It was a thing when my dad grew up. So, they have they want to generate interest in a store, and so they'll have people guess how many jelly beans in a giant jar, and whoever is closest wins. So we have some guesses in the chat, and in that little interim, in our intermission, I will be telling y'all the answer. We have a Julie. Hello, hello. How many books did Margaret acquire in California? I'm going to say 14. So I'll go with that. We have a Diane in the chat. Good morning. They're guessing 18. I was there a while, which is very true. Cat Paw's got a 15 for a guess. Okay. And then I also wanted to point out Cat Paw has a new release. So Andina is out now in ebook. And if they get ebook sales, they may be able to do a paperback edition. So I just dropped the link for the ebook on Smashwords, and the cover is really cool. And they made it themselves. So like, check it out. Cover is human made. Yay. Jim is here. Hey, y'all. Hey, over in Tbilisi. How you doing? Mike is here from RAFFERTY. Hello, all. A book haul. How exciting. Yes, I don't do these very often. It's only when I go stark raving lunatic version levels that I do one of these hauls. So that may help some of your guesses. Good question. Okay, we've got a survey question in the chat, from the chat. How much does a paperback cost where you live new? So the answer for me is going to be $16 to $19, depending on audience. So that's the US dollar amount in my area. Hello, Greg. Oh, Greg's got a new profile picture. It looks like he's in front of a castle. That's cool. Hello, Greg. Oh, this is Greg's other channel. That's why it's not Ghost Readers in the Sky. Did you mean to do that? Are you in the wrong profile? Jim is going to guess 13. Laura is here. Hello, Laura. Laura's going to guess 24. There we go. Okay. Hello, Ghost Readers in the Sky. Julie said, very kind of you to push the new book from Cat Paw. I'm sure they appreciate it. Yes, totally. Rachel, Archie Sibling Bear. Hello. Listening from work, so I'll be wandering in and out. It sure is. Yes. I was in the wrong profile. I was like, wait a minute. Oopsie. Okay, paperback answer, $16 to $20 in the Midwest, I think Rachel was going to say. For Mike in South Africa, paperbacks cost around $17, I guess in US dollars here in South Africa. And his guess is 25 books. Okay, is that the high so far? Yeah, he did one more than Laura. Okay, all right, I see the strategy there. For Laura in the UK, paperbacks are 8 to 10 pounds. Wow, that's less than in the US because we don't have a 2-to-1 conversion. So interesting. Yes, Midwest. Cool. Excellent guesses. I will star the one that I think is the closest so far and keep accumulating guesses. So let me put that up. Did I make a banner for that? I did not. Let me make one. And I should say the alternate title for this stream was, what do I know about any of these books? So as I go through them individually, I'm going to tell you why I decided to get them and who recommended them and all that stuff. But for now, let's just do all the books. There we go. Put this up. So we'll continue to get some guesses. Jim says paperbacks here are 30 to 50 lari, but I get books secondhand for 10 lari. So that is a Georgian currency, and I don't know the currency exchange rate on that one, so you may have to Google that. Okay. My shared screen. This is going to be the test of my lungs here. Story graph. Okay. So I'm just going to read it in the order that I bought them, and I'm just going to read the title. So this might help people guess how many. And then we'll go back to the individual and groupings and all that stuff. But this is just to be funny. Dream Warrior, The Lance Thrower, The Highland Dragon's Lady, Summer, Beauty, Miss Muriel and Other Stories, Connemara, Listening to the Wind, Saratoga Trunk, Yours Cheerfully, New Sons 2, more original speculative fiction by people of color, One Night on the Island, Claws and Contrivances, The Ivy Tree, A Curse So Dark and Lonely, Ursula K. Le Guin's Book of Cats, The Perpetual Curate, Twice Shy, The Three Musketeers, The Count of Monte Cristo, and The Man in the Iron Mask, Richmond, Scenes in the Life of a Bow Street Runner drawn up from his private memoranda, Praise Song for the Widow, Winnie the Pooh, We Survive the Night, Water Always Wins, Thriving in an Age of Drought and Deluge, The Story of More, How We Got to Climate Change and Where to Go from Here, Death at High Tide, An Island Sisters Mystery, Second First Impressions, The 7-Year Slip, A Novel Love Story, Making It So, Wolf Hall, Poor Caroline, Say Nothing, A True Story of Murder and Mayhem in Murder and Memory in Northern Ireland. Jane and the Ghosts of Netley, The Left Hand of Darkness, Cradle to Cradle, We're Making the Way We Make Things, The Water Will Come, Rising Seas, Sinking Cities, and the Remaking of the Civilized World, Consumed, The Need for Collective Change, Colonialism, Climate Change, and Consumerism, Lost Country Life, The Book of Love, and Living Resistance, an Indigenous Vision for Seeking Wholeness Every Day. Well, that was several breaths. I definitely couldn't have made that on one breath, even if I trained for it. Okay, did anyone do the work to try to mark down all the ones? No, Constance. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's see. All right, Jim's got a currency conversion. Constance is here. Hello, Constance, and welcome. Diane says, if you have a couch full of books, I'll guess my number is too low. Wow. Yeah, a lot of books. Constance says, speculative fiction by writers of color sounds so good. Wait till you see the cover. The cover is what really shouted out to me. 30? Wolf Hall? Yes, if you don't know, Mike did a whole video on Wolf Hall and a discussion with Steve Donahue, I think, within the video, and like started it off with Margaret should read this one. So I really got the finger in my face with this book, and it convinced me to get one. So, okay, I have to do some math to figure out who's closest. Greg says, I'm guessing it's one book with a very long title. Constance says 56. Diane says 50. Like not remanded, edited guess. Let's see. I think Diane's edited guess is the closest, but before that, edited guess, who is the closest? Oh, I think it was, who said 25? So Mike, that would be Mike. Can I say it yet? Okay, let me look at my outline, folks. I don't want to mess I spent so much time trying to figure out how to order this because there's so many books. So there's 3 main reasons to buy them. I'm going to split them up. And I got all your guesses. So yeah, 41 books in 5 weeks. So that's like 8 a week. And that is from 11 sources, mostly used bookstores. That is 3 main reasons to buy: readathon or buddy read, so doing something with the community members, research for my historical writing stuff, and the third reason is I wanted to. That's my third reason. So we're going to see how many are in each of those categories. Out of 41, 2 were new, 39 were used. Out of 41 books, 31 were fiction, 12 were nonfiction, and 1 was poetry, art, graphic nonfiction, The Book of Cats. And out of 41, 7 have been read already, and 34 are unread. So, cool fact from this trip, I learned that Bean likes watching the road even less than staying in his carrier, because I'd only let him out of the carrier while I was driving once, and it was while I was driving. And he got on the dashboard as I was going through Ashland, and it was very panic-inducing. So I didn't let him out. And then this time I was like, okay, we're going to sit here and I'm going to let you out and figure it out, see if you like it, see where you go. Of course, he went straight into the wheel well behind me, which is not great. But he did not look comfortable. He was going around. He's sort of bewildered. So eventually he just goes back into the carrier, even though it's open, because it's like a safe place. So I learned that on this trip. So that was my interesting fact at this little interim. And here's the other thing. I've read 7 out of these 41, and I know that it's a thing to do haul revisits. Does anyone else watch these? It's a genre of booktube video where if you do a haul, you do maybe 1 year later, how many books of that haul did I read? And of course, that's only for very organized people who have charts about this, like Jim. But for me, I don't really do this, but I think it might be interesting. The last big haul I did was from Canada last summer. I went to like every used bookstore that I could when I went to Vancouver on a little road trip. And that was really fun. So I was thinking that might be a fun thing to do to see how many I've read. Because, when you buy them at the beginning, you're, oh, I really want to read this? Or do you stick to your guns and read stuff that's already on your shelf so you can get rid of it? The other thing is, out of this 41 books, I will not be able to go show you 4 of them because I've already sold them back. So not pictured 4 books. Because I do cycle books. If I read it and then I know I'm not going to reread it, I will push it out the door, sell it back to get more book money. But yeah. And that's why it's called a therapeutic book haul. Yeah. Let's see. So I did put the link up here to the Independent Bookstore Day stream about several of the bookshops that I patronize. Jim says Wolf Hall is one of Shelley Swearengen's favorites and a 5-star read for Jim. Excellent. Glad you weren't flying. That sounds heavy. Yes, flying does limit the book haul possibilities for sure. Yeah, so being, I think, he doesn't like being in the carrier, but he doesn't like being, I think it's watching the scenery go by. That's just, it's too fast. So he's like, nope, not for me. Julie says, yes, I like Hall Revisits. Melinda at A Web of Stories does these every month, and I love it. Wow. So she must do book hauls much more often than I do, because I only do these about once a year when I go crazy, as I said. Yeah, it's like an accountability check-in. So I like that aspect of it. It's just like the organization and the exactitude that I don't know if I could put up with. Okay, so the first grouping that I'm going to do is the ones that I bought for readathons or buddy reads. And I'll go through the ones that I don't have. Winnie the Pooh. I already talked about Winnie the Pooh in my last wrap-up. That was for Mr. B's favorites. Mr. B's 2026 challenge. It's on Storygraph. It's hosted by a Chaotic Bibliophile, and I just liked the prompts. They're from an independent bookstore in the UK, and Chaotic Bibliophile decided to make it a Storygraph challenge, and I thought, oh, these are fun. And I've already done many of them, so this would be a great thing to do and check off before the middle of the year. It's a yearly readathon that I've already completed, just to make myself feel better. So Winnie the Pooh is the children's book. Book of Cats, even though it wasn't bought for the readathon, also worked for it. Sort of an excuse. I bought the Book of Cats by Ursula K. Le Guin because it had her own illustrations from the 70s, 80s, 90s of the cats she had in her life, and it had sort of memoirs of the cats she's owned and poetry about them. And it was a lot of the same material that was in the exhibition that I saw in Portland last year, and they didn't have a book to take away any of that material. So when I saw that it was like that, I thought, oh, it's kind of like an exhibition book, but it didn't have the other paraphernalia. So after I read it, I was like, well, that was nice, but I don't need to keep it. So that was for a readathon. Left Hand of Darkness, of course, with a buddy read, was for a group read along, let's say, and the live is going to be Saturday. I don't think I've seen a live stream placeholder pop up for it yet. Mike may know about that more than I do. I decided not to try to get on the live stream because there's only 6 spaces and I usually have French. So the hour that they chose is actually the only hour during that weekend that I can't go. So, but yeah, so I will be in the discussion afterwards to talk about whatever they end up discussing. Let's see. So Book of Cats and Left Hand of Darkness I actually do have. I went to so many bookstores, used bookstores, thinking I gotta be able to find a used copy of Left Hand of Darkness. No, I ended up having to get this one because I wanted to read it with the group. And then, yeah, it's like the newest edition and it's hardcover and it's new. So I sort of lost out on this one. And I just watched Ali's review at Genteel Black Hole. He's part of the read along, and it was pretty good in terms of what I was thinking. There's maybe a couple points that I would make of things that hit me, but like not a lot to pull out of it. So I think interesting sell it back, but I wanted to hold on to this until that happened. So, you win some, you lose some. What else? So, Winnie the Pooh, Book of Cats, Left Hand of Darkness, Water Always Wins, Story of More, Cradle to Cradle. So if you don't know, I'm the host of Climathon this year, which is reading books about all the various aspects of the climate crisis. And so when I see books that are about different aspects of the climate crisis, I go, ooh, especially if I've seen them before and they've been recommended to me by people. So ones that come into that category are Water Always Wins by Erica Geis, Thriving in an Age of Drought and Deluge. This was in a little free library in San Luis. And so I was like, water? I've been on a water kick. So there is a prompt that is water specifically, but, it goes into a lot of stuff. I read The Blue Machine and then On Time and Water and then The Water Will Come. And that was in my last wrap up. So if I remember, I'll pop that up as a card afterwards. If I do this long enough, it'll show up when I'm skipping. So yeah, free book and it's on water. So I thought that would keep going on my theme. The Story of More by Hope Jarin has been on my wish list for really a long time. Let's see. There we go. Spare Time Climathon. Oh, I don't have who recommended it to me, but this is a bit older. No, 2020. Okay, so it was just a really popular book when Booktube got its big boost during the pandemic. How we got to climate change and where to go from here. She wrote a book called Lab Girl, which was really popular, and then I think followed it up with this. So that's why I think it got a lot more play than some others. We've got Cradle to Cradle. This is Remaking the Way We Make Things by William McDonough and Michael Braungart. It is a waterproof Durabook, it says, and it's really, really heavy to hold. So I don't know what they made it from, but I'm sure they'll tell me. This has been on my wish list, but it's a really expensive book. So I was glad when I got to pick it up for $5. It's pretty dense. It's going to be pretty scientific and technical, I imagine, because it's about industrial processes and changing, our approach to manufacturing, which has undergone a huge shift already. So that was really on my wish list, and I wanted to see that one. The Water Will Come is the one that I went over in my last wrap up that I already read. Consumed by Asia Barber is more about consumerism, so not under the water prompt, but this is recommended by Lena Norms. She has a huge, really great YouTube channel. She does book stuff as an author of poetry. She does fashion stuff and like beginner sewing stuff. She does a lot of climathon, but it's not what she calls it, like environmentalism and good citizen type of content. And this is a book she recommended many years ago. And again, has been on my wish list for a long time. So Asia Barber, I haven't read any of her stuff, but person of color and a really good viewpoint to pick up on. Oh, and the last one I got for the readathon. Now here's where we run into a little trouble. Readathon or buddy read. I picked this up and I was looking, just like for Left Hand of Darkness, I was looking for Three Musketeers everywhere. And this is the only one I found, believe it or not. Like 10 different stores. Alexandre Dumas. And this is actually 3 books in one. It's the Barnes & Noble Unabridged Classic. And I got it because I thought we were going to be reading Three Musketeers pretty soon. Because Derek Green was going to lead a group of us to read this together, and then he sort of disappeared because he's got personal stuff going on. So unfortunately, I don't have the list of the other people that are interested to sort of go forward with it, and it's tiny, tiny print. So now, if I do want to read this, my eyes may be destroyed, but you know, that's Booktube. You do this for love, right? Okay, let me stop at the first category here of readathons and buddy reads. Let's see. Greg says, Greg at Supposedly Fun also does haul revisits monthly. Oh, cool. All right. So we got Melinda at A Web of Stories and Greg at Supposedly Fun. Great recommendations for channels. I have been subscribers of both of them. Melinda maintains a detailed spreadsheet of when books were required and when they were read. Nice. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. What I do to figure out when things were acquired, and it only works so far because Storygraph is only so robust, is I go into owned books, which is what I just used for that recitation, and I go backwards, and I can tell based on where I've labeled where I got them, where I was. So basically, I've already bought books since I've been back in Portland, and I just went before those books to the last ones that were in Sacramento, and then like all the bookstores that were in San Luis, and then the last one in Sacramento, because I went, you know, north to south, and then north to south, and I stopped in the same bookstore. I know I have a problem. And then it goes on to something else in Portland. So I know that ends the trip. So I keep track of it by looking at the order of owned books on Storygraph, because I've tagged where I bought the books or where I acquired them. We each have our own systems. So Jim says the 100th anniversary of Winnie the Pooh is this year. Really? 26. You're right. That's cool. I hadn't clocked that. Julie says, I love Piglet. Well, my favorite was Eeyore. Jim says Eeyore is quite a character too. Mike says the Linguin live stream is this Saturday, the 16th at 3 p.m. Haven't seen a link or announcement from Gareth yet. Okay, so you don't have it either. Diane says, Julie, I was just going to say I love Eeyore. He's so pathetic. Yeah, it's not, I mean, he is pathetic, but he's just a doom and gloom, like, what's it called? Negative Nancy, before there was a Negative Nancy on SNL. I think that's what he was. He's just catastrophizing, and I think we can all relate. Hey, Kat from Ginger Bibliophile. Hello. Popping on to lurk at work. I like how that rhymes. Hope you enjoyed your trip and all the books you brought home. Yes, they make me happy. But now that I've done this live stream, I will be able to put them away on the bookshelves, which will make me doubly happy because they've been sitting out so that I don't forget. Jim says, I've just started reading Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey, where climate change plays an important part. Yes, Cli-Fi, I think, is still a prompt on the board. So yeah, that's tagged on my Storygraph as well. And I know the Wolf book that Charlotte McConaughey wrote you really liked. So it was a good one. Forest Rants. Lena Norms. You have Forest with 2 R's. Is that a person? It's capitalized. Is that a person she doesn't like? Oh, no. It's when she walks around in the woodland and she's yelling. That's right. Yeah, I do love those. She's like holding the phone and ranting about something. That's right. The word for Eeyore is long-suffering. I don't know. I think some of it's catastrophizing too, Mike. So having just read the book, I think I might be a little closer to the material, but we'll see. Constance says, hey, Kat, have missed you. It's a spello. A spello. Is that a typo? Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I got it. Kat saying hello. Hope y'all are well. It's been crazy with mandatory overtime all month, which makes no sense. Where's the labor movement? What have we become? Yes. Well, all that to say, okay, that's my first group of individual books and how I got them. That is my 11 readathon / buddy read books, and 4 of them are read. And I will pop this in the chat in case you weren't here and are curious about my in-depth review of The Water Will Come. I loved that book. And if you were here during the premiere, you know I talked about it a lot. Okay. Research books. This is much shorter. Connemara, Richard, and Loss. Let's see. Connemara, Richmond, and Lost. All right, so these are all used. This one, Richmond, Scenes in the Life of a Bow Street Runner by Richmond, which is, I guess, a pen name. The first collection of detective stories in English from 1827. How cool is that? So way before Conan Doyle. I read a fictionalized version of, oh, now I'm going to forget his name, the blind judge who started the Bow Street Runners. Anyway, in the 1700s, and his life spanned a lot of interesting historical events in England, and London is the focus, obviously. So I was just interested in what people would write about detective fiction in this time of change. There's not really detectives yet. There's Bow Street Runners, which are more like bounty hunters. They're paid informants and people that run after and cosh people on the head to bring them back to the courts. So I'm just very curious about this, and it was kind of a neat historical reproduction that I thought would be fun. I got that at a used bookstore. Tim Robinson's Connemara, Listening to the Wind, a book about one place which is also about the whole world. That's Robert Macfarlane's quote. This is because I'm going right next to Connemara, Galway, so the west of Ireland, and I've never been there before. I've heard sort of mythic legend things about it. I've read a couple books set there, but I just got this because I'm going to be traveling there, and I don't have any characters from there yet, but never say never. And then this one turned up in the thrift store, Lost Country Life by Dorothy Hartley. And this is like, my brain just like lights up with this. How English country folk lived, worked, threshed, thatched, rolled fleece, milled corn, brewed mead. And it's got this really delightful sort of folksy medieval cover. Basically, it's all these crafts that we don't do anymore because machines do it or people do it in specialized processes. And so this is a gold mine for a historical author. I have one book that I used a lot for my Remnants series because it was 18th century. Someone pretends to live back in the 18th century and makes their own ink and washes their own clothes in the river and, makes their own butter, this sort of thing. So it was a lot of the skills that my characters would have had to have in 1820. But then this is like deluxe version. So I thought that would be a really good resource, and we'll probably dabble in this. It goes by the year and like tasks you would do in different times of the year, which is also really helpful because one of the things that I have had to return to again and again when I do my research is, when do you plant and when do you sow which crops? Because I don't know this. Everything's available all around the year for me, like I don't know this. There's red winter wheat and there's white wheat and there's, like spring wheat. And I don't know what those names mean. It's like when I always have to think, when you say north wind, does that mean it's coming from the north or it's going to the north? There's these stupid things that we never have to consider in our modern lives anymore. And so like, here we go. So this is out of print, unfortunately. So I didn't have a link for this one. But if you like medieval topics, Dorothy Hartley is on bookshop.org with some other medieval nonfiction stuff, if that is your thing. It isn't really mine, but this sort of goes up to 1600s-ish era, so very useful. Oh, thank you. This is actually also a sweater I acquired in a California thrift shop because someone told me that I didn't need a sweater because they were experiencing a heat wave in March, and then it proceeded to get very cold. So I was cold all the time. So I ended up buying a sweater at thrift shop, and I really like this one. So it sets off my sort of Celtic knotwork necklace, which I never get to wear. So thank you, Julie. And Mike says Connemara is magical, worth a detour from Galway. Yeah, I had a key ring that was made of Connemara marble in the shape of Ireland for the longest time, and then it broke. And I held on to it for a little longer, and then I was like, why am I holding on to this? So yeah, unfortunately, I no longer have that. North wind is from the north. Okay, can we get confirmation of this one? It's these skills. It's the real life skills that I look up and then they don't stay in there because I don't use them. All right, so those are the research books. Not too many, just 3. What else do I have? I have classics. So none of the research reads were read. Classics, I have 8, and also none have been read yet. So let me see if I can go find the 8 classics. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sweet. That was easy. All right. I'm just going through them all on the couch. And you may differ with my definition of classics, but I will fight. I will fight for these. All right. So Diane says, I think JJ the Bookworm Blacksmith put up a video about y'all's 3 Musketeers read. Oh, okay. Maybe this is one of the people that commented, but I don't follow him yet. I'm starring that. I will go check that out. That sounds great. Thank you for letting me know that. Catbot says, I didn't get to Connemara when I went to Ireland with friends, but I did have a drink in the pub in Avoca. Ballykissangel fan here. I guess it was filmed there. I've heard of that. I think it was a show. That's fun. That's cute. All right, so classics. The first classic I don't think you can argue with. It's Summer by Edith Wharton, mass market paperback copy on the clearance rack for $1. So it might not survive a read. You know, you have to be careful with the spine on these, but it's not tiny. It's like your regular mass market paperback. This is from 1917. So over 100 years old. And I loved reading Edith Wharton in high school and college and haven't read any of her really since. So I just saw this and I was like, well, $1. I can't pass it up for $1. So that's one classic. The second one, look at this copy of Beauty by Robin McKinley. Okay, so it's obviously been a library book with that binding because it was a mass market paperback. And they took off the cover and the back and glued it onto a library binding. I thought that was so cool. So what? So yeah. And you know, it's definitely mass market paperback. I just didn't know they did that in libraries. It's just like, I thought that was neat. And it was $2. So I am a huge fan of Sunshine by Robin McKinley. I have not read The Blue Sword. That's like one of her most famous. But Sunshine, it's like an alternative vampire comedy, adventure, romance, fantasy. Like, obviously it's a fantasy with vampires, but I just found it to be so engaging that I've reread that one again and again. And so I'm like, maybe her retelling of Beauty and the Beast will be similarly captivating. I don't know. I don't think it's young adult, but Iconoclad books. Oh my goodness. Oh no, that's not cents. It just says 86. Okay. I was going to say, what is the cost on this? But it doesn't say. 1985, something. But yeah, a long time ago. So I'm going to call that a classic. Anyone want to fight me yet? Oh, okay. Rachel says, Beauty, one of my favorite Robin McKinley reads. Excellent. Mike asks, have you read Edith Wharton's Ethan? I think it's Frome, like the town in England, but I don't know if it's pronounced Froome, also like the town in England. I think growing up, I pronounced it Frome, but I think that's wrong. Dark but brilliantly written. There might be a New England town called that. And maybe they have a different pronunciation. Yes, and I didn't like it because of the ending. So, yeah, I think that doesn't conquer the writing for me, or at least high school me. I was like, no, not my favorite. I'm going to stick to The House of Mirth and what was the other one I really liked? Not The Age of Innocence, was it? I can't remember, but The House of Mirth was definitely one of them. Rachel says, also, Beauty is her first Beauty and the Beast retelling. She also did another version called Rose Daughter. Oh, interesting. All right. Mining the old material for all it's worth. Hey, author's going to do what they do, right? That's excellent. Okay. I've got Another classic, Miss Muriel and Other Stories by Anne Petrie. So this is an author whose other book, The Street, is a classic and I have not read, but it's on my shelf. So this is sort of violating my rule of getting another book by a person that I have on my shelf that I haven't read. Remember when I said I needed to read some of those? So this would go on that list. But I don't know. It just seemed like too good a deal to pass up. It's only $3. So yeah, Anne Petrie, 1912 to 1997, the author of, among other books, The Street, which has sold more than 1 million copies, and The Narrows. She writes about the African-American experience in the 1950s and 60s. And, you know, sometimes it's easier to start with an author with short stories than a whole novel, even though The Street's not that long. So I don't know. I just thought it was too good to pass up and is another good opportunity for a classic author. Third classic. Fourth classic. Okay. This is maybe a reprehensible choice. This is Saratoga Trunk by Edna Ferber. And the cover may look familiar because the same publisher, Harper Perennial Modern Classics, made a similar cover with So Big. And I had So Big on my shelf for years. I can date it as years because I got it when I was researching Chicago in the 1890s, because that book that won a Pulitzer Prize was set in Chicago in the 1890s, and it just sat there, and I kept trying to pick it up, and I never read it. So I finally gave it away. I was like, this is bad energy. I need to let this go. But then I picked this one up because it also looked good. Saratoga is about, is it Florida? No. It's the basis for the classic film starring Gary Cooper and Ingrid Bergman. It's her enthralling saga of love, greed, and power set in New Orleans and Saratoga during the late 19th century. Is Saratoga the one in Florida? I thought so, because I thought that's what it was about. But yeah, I want to like her, and I just need to read her to figure that out. So again, maybe a bad choice, but $3 clearance. So modern classic. Fifth classic, a Mary Stewart. We love Mary Stewart on this channel. Sometimes she comes in a little flat, but you know, sometimes they just hit the spot. So this is one of the few remaining that I have not read. It's called The Ivy Tree. Mary Stewart was a person who did insta-love, romantic suspense, and she was sort of like one of the grand dame of the original romantic suspense in the 70s, I guess, 60s, 70s. She also wrote Arthurian novels, fantasy novels, but I haven't read those, like The Crystal Cave, The Hollow Hills. But her other romances include Nine Coaches Waiting. Her historical is Touch Not the Cat, which I had for a long time, and I also just gave away because I couldn't get into that one. But yeah, so romantic suspense and insta-love is probably guaranteed in this one, and it's a short read, and it'll probably be a single day comfort read. It's not often you get a classic that's a comfort read, so that's a gem. Didn't want to lose that. Hello, Gareth. How you doing? Good evening. Julie says, I love Saratoga Trunk when I was about a middle grade reader. Yes, parts were troublesome, but it was an adventure when I was young. Ducks. Why would you duck? You think someone's going to throw something at you? Yeah, I think the trunk is referring to the trunk line. Is it a trunk for travel, or is it a trunk line on the railroad? Late 19th century. I don't know. Let me know if one of those is wrong. Kappa says, another Mary Stewart I have not read. Yes. So that's one of the few remaining ones I have not read. Oh, and Felicia, Dreaming Truth author. Hello, hello. Good morning. We're going through the classics in the book haul. Okay, so here's another one that might be a bad choice, but I love a Virago classic cover, and they catch my eye when I see them on the shelves. This is Mrs. Oliphant. Nope. This is Chronicles of Carlingford. That's the series, and the edition is The Perpetual Curate. It's written by Margaret Oliphant, and I like a Margaret author. That's not always a guarantee of quality, but I don't know. It's not the first in the series, but I think kind of like Trollop, you may not get all of the plot points, but like it'll still be funny. That's kind of the vibe I got when I was reading about this. So if you don't know Virago Classics, it's kind of like Persephone. It's a press that likes to highlight independent women characters, especially in Victorian books, Victorian novels. Margaret Oliphant, 1828 to 1897, one of the greatest and most neglected of Victorian writers, was born in Scotland. So there's another great connection. The Chronicles of Carlingford are comedies with all the pleasure of the novels of Trollope. Okay, well, there you go. That's maybe where I got my comparison. And they've been out of print for most of this century. They mean the 20th century. So yeah, Virago Classic. I like to pick these up and check them out. Trollop sized and definitely a classic. I think that means that I can use this for a Victober book. I don't often succeed with Victober books, but who knows? If it's sort of a mix between Trollope and Elizabeth Gaskell's not Lark Rise to Candleford. What's the series I'm trying to think of that had Judi Dench and Eileen Fisher in the miniseries? Why can't I think of it? Anyway, if it's a mix between Trollope and Gaskell in that respect, I think I'll really like it. And it'll be a nice little read. Then we've got classic number 7, Praise Song for the Widow by Polly Marshall. Now, this is a classic era of African-American writer who I have not read. And so I thought, ooh, I have a chance to get a representative sample. That sounds good. It's about A.V. Johnson, a Black middle-aged middle-class widow given to hats, gloves, and pearls. Praise Song for the Widow. It just sounds neat. Like a little bit brighter than your Toni Morrison, which I think is not really my speed, the ones that I read. So yeah, we'll see if I like this, and that becomes a new favorite classic author. And then finally, another Virago modern classic, but the new style of covers. This is Poor Caroline by Winifred Holtby. And I like the coziness of the cover there. This is another comedy. Winifred Holtby is one of the authors on the list of Persephone books. And so when I try to keep those in mind when I scan for used copies of books. Caroline Denton Smythe, the double-barreled names in UK books always get me, is an eccentric and trailing feathers and jangling beads. Kind of reminds me of Praise Song for the Widow. Peering out from behind her lorgnette. That's perfect. Alone in her West Kensington bedsitter, she dreams of the Christian Cinema Company, her vehicle for reform. For Caroline sees herself as a pioneer, one who must risk everything for the cause of the right. So this is from 1931. So it's a March of the Moderns type book. And it seems like it might be funny. Sometimes I don't get the humor. Sometimes I do. So a little bit of a risk, but I like the cover. I like seeing things set in different places around the UK so I can get a feel. So yeah, interesting cast of characters for the classics. So that's the classics. There's 8 and I haven't read any of them yet. Cranford. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, when I said that, I thought other people might have a different experience. For Greg, most of his comfort reads are classics. Yeah. Robert Louis Stevenson. Need I say more? Hello, Leslie. You're a wizard. You're on time. It's all right. Another Margaret. Repping Callie. Yes. Along with Julie. I'm sure Margaret Oliphant was a Victober group read last time. Really? Was it the first one? Possibly. Yes. I don't like buying books specifically for group read-alongs. Number one, because group read-alongs never tend to get as detailed as buddy reads in their discussions. And number two, because then I might have to get it new, like I did with Left Hand of Darkness. And then I end up just feeling touchy and cross about it, as you might say. Cranford. Thank you, Laura. Also here for sunny SoCal. Yeah. The railroad, the Saratoga trunk, not a trunk. Yes. So in case you don't know, because you're not a railroad buff, The trunk line is like the main line, and then the branches, just like the tree. I guess that's where they got it from. Tree terminology. You have a trunk line, which is the main line, and branches that go off into smaller stations. So yeah. Oh, Nora, I'm late. Hello, Eva. Welcome and good morning or afternoon for you. Hello, hello. All right, so those are the classics. What do we have left? And what am I missing? Romances. Okay. This is under the category of why did I get them? Because I wanted to. Romances. So we'll have some that are fantasy romance, some that are historical romance. We'll see. So there's 10 in this category, and 2 I've already read / reread. Yeah, I'm counting that one in that category instead of the other category. 10. All right, so oh my goodness. All right, is this any of the ones that I haven't got pictured? Yes. Okay, so the ones not pictured in this photo, Highland Dragon's Lady, which I've already sold back. And that's it. So that's 1. That's the first one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I got the rest. Whew. This is why I'm not an accountant. I count, and there's always like, it doesn't come out right. So I'm glad I'm clipping along and the number stayed the same from before stream to during the stream, because that doesn't always happen. Trains are cool. Yeah, trains are cool. All right, so romances. 10 romances and 2 that are read. So I've read The Highland Dragon's Lady. That was on my wrap up 2 times ago. It's a guy with no shirt on the cover. It's like a shifter romance, and it's set in Regency England. So it's pretty silly, but it was a fun read and a nice little romance with a ghost story slotted in, I guess, which was the main plot. So yeah, that was the first one. In the same vein, we have Sherilyn Kenyon. If you've read Sherilyn Kenyon, you know that she gets very steamy. So this is not so much about shifters, although they do shift. It's more like gods of mythology that are still meddling in human affairs in contemporary times. So this one is called Dream Warrior, and it's a dream hunter novel. That's one of her series where people can like walk into people's dreams and stuff like that. But yeah, it's gods from the Greek. I think it's all Greek gods, but like especially small ones, half gods, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, and it's a romance, so you'll see some steamy scenes in that one. I haven't read it yet. One Night on the Island by Josie Silver. Now I have not read Josie Silver before, and this looked cute. The plot: spending her 30th birthday alone is not what dating columnist Cleo Wilder wanted, but she plans a solo retreat at the insistence of her boss in the name of re-energizing herself and adding a new perspective to her column. The remote Irish island she's booked is a far cry from London, but at least it's a chance to hunker down in a luxury cabin and indulge in some self-care while she figures out the next steps in her love life and her career. What could go wrong? Mark Sullivan is also looking forward to some time to himself. With his life in Boston deteriorating in ways he can't bring himself to acknowledge, his soul-searching has brought him to the same island to explore his Irish roots and find some clarity. Unfortunately, a mix-up with the bookings means both have reserved the same hideaway on exactly the same dates. Forced proximity. I love that trope. And it's set in Ireland. So obviously this one's up my alley. Yeah, I just liked the plot on that, and I'll always take a romance used and pass it along to another person who wants to read it. Yeah, all right. Yeah, my mom loved Fabio books. It's pretty close. Yeah, it doesn't have the 90s long flowing locks, but it's pretty much there. Diane says jokes are cool. All right, so Margaret Oliphant, unrelated to Eleanor Oliphant. Excellent. Hope she falls in love. Yeah. I don't know. Suspense. Will she? Won't she? I do hope there's only one bed. Oh, we love our romance tropes. They just make it so funny, right? Then we've got what looks like an indie book based on the cover design and font. I don't know if other people do this, but you look and you're like, that looks like an indie cover design. Like it didn't go through a marketing survey process. I don't know if that's just me and I'm being prejudiced, but Stephanie Burgess is a name that I know from either reading her stuff or following her on social media. And I liked her. So when I saw the author name, I thought, oh, I get to read one of her books. It's called Claws and Contrivances. And it's Regency Dragons. So continuing with the Regency Dragon theme, although I don't think these are shifters. I think these are just like pets. A madcap Regency-era romantic comedy involving a most determined heroine, a baffled scholarly hero. I think I might be a sucker for those. And a surprising number of dragons. Tregarth. So I guess it's in Cornwall. Front cover design, Raven. Paperback design, 50 Seconds North. Yeah, that's an indie cover. She may have, like, in the meantime, gotten a hybrid deal and be also a traditional published author, but I don't know. Is that me being prejudiced? I don't know. Romances continued. I love half-price books. Yes, I got some going down through Sacramento and going back up through Sacramento. So I do not have a half-price book anywhere near me here in Portland. So they had the coupons for like January, February that you rip off March, April. And so I did the March, April one and I got some really good deals. I also had some credit left over. So yeah, it was a big haul. I thought they were chickens. No, they're little dragons. Chickens. Do any of you guys follow Rewilding Jude, the channel on YouTube? He's in Northeast Scotland, and he's taking care of chickens as he remodels an old abandoned cottage. And he calls his chicken chooks, and it's the cutest thing. He's like very, very motherly and taking care of them, which is nice. June is the month for both Pride and June on the Range. I was researching books similar to Annie Proulx's Brokeback Mountain. Did that come out of one of the books that I talked about? Observative. I'm not sure what that means. Favorite trope, time slips. Okay, so cat paw, favorite trope, time slips. And for that one, recommend The Mirror by Marlis Milheiser. That's on my wish list with your name on it as a recommender, but I have not come across it. I look at it, you know, periodically to see if I can find it on the shelf of a place that I visit, but I haven't yet. I love Rewilding Jude. Chooks. All right. So we've got some similar tastes. And yeah, I'm glad Laura likes that channel too. Eva says, I do the same thing with books. And if I'm wrong, then yay for breaking stereotypes. And if I'm right, I didn't say it was an insult. So I'm not sure why it'd be taken that way. Sips tea. Yeah, true. I think, yeah. I guess the reason why I can clock it as an indie book cover is it because it doesn't feel as smooth or generally appealing. It's only going to be very niche, but that's what they're aiming for. So like they still may be happy with the results. I don't know. Chickens are really dinosaurs anyway, right? So dragons. There you go. May is Stroke Awareness Month. Do you know the science of a stroke? Oh, okay. So Eva's out here advocating. That's a good one. Look up Be Fast. If not, do we have a book marathon for this? You know who could start one? Maybe you just need to read a book starting with all those letters to remember the signs. That's pretty easy. That's only six books in a month. That might not be doable for some people. Close proximity is a great trope. I agree. Yeah. And, you know, you're suspending your disbelief anyway for this like forced nature of anything because humans have agency. They can exit a situation. But the thing is, in these romances, the goal that the character wants can only be accomplished or can generally be accomplished the quickest through this way that it requires the proximity. So that's what I mean. It creates tension. That sizzles. Feel free to send those extra half-price book coupons that you can't use to me, says Greg. Yeah, because May, June, July, August, September, October, I probably won't be able to use. So I may do that for your next patron postcard. Just make it a letter. That's a good idea. Leslie says, I just subbed to Jude's channel. I'll be checking him out later today. It's delightful, Leslie. If you want to watch something that's like calm and a little silly and a little self-deprecating, but like so resourceful and wholesome, that's what I would recommend. Yeah. Yay. Eva says, do you go live for chatty chats or sprints? Also, welcome home again. Do you go live for... I don't know what this is. Is this related to the readathon idea? Biggest age gap you've read. You would read. Are these prompts for the readathon, or are these random questions you're throwing at everybody? I don't know. Let me know. Okay, I've still got more romances. Twice Shy. This is by Sarah Hogel, who I hadn't heard of before, but the plot is what got me. So I look at the cover and I go, that's cute. It's a graphic cover. Twice makes me think it's going to be second chance romance. So let's investigate. Maybelle Parrish, what a name, has always been a dreamer and a hopeless romantic, but living in her own world has long been preferable to dealing with the disappointments of real life. So when Maybelle inherits a charming house in the Smokies from her great aunt Violet, I love that trope too, she seizes the opportunity to make a fresh start. Yet when she arrives, it seems her troubles have only just begun. Not only is the house falling apart around her, but she isn't the only inheritor. She has to share everything with Wesley Kohler, the groundskeeper, who's as grouchy as he is gorgeous. And it turns out he has a very different vision for the property's future. See, forced proximity via inherited house. Like that's gold. That's catnip is what I should say. That's gold catnip for me. So there, yeah. Okay, this is one I had heard of, Sally Thorne. I think she's most famous for The Hating Game. But this is called Second First Impressions. So again, probably second chance romance. Let's see. Ruthie Madonna has worked the front desk at Providence Retirement Villa for years, living on site at the beck and call of the wealthy residents and the rare tortoises that roam the manicured lawns. Okay, are there tortoises on the lawn? Yep, there we go. That explains that. She has a routine and not much ever changes until she lays eyes on Teddy Prescott, the son of Providence's new owner and her new neighbor, tall, tattooed, and with the most magical hair on earth. Just ask him. Uh-oh. It sounds like he's got an ego. Teddy's in town saving up money to pursue his dream of opening a tattoo shop. He's the definition of risky, and Ruthie's dazzled at first sight until he mistakes her for a little old lady. Okay, so maybe not a second chance romance, but like a bad first impression. Yeah, not exactly enemies to lovers, but... Oh, and Sally Thorne is Australian. Okay, so there we go. Australian Lit. There's a readathon for that in September. Straya September. That's what Scott calls it. That turned into a little bit London. That's fine. Yeah, so we got that one to try some Sally Thorne. These are all just like comfort reads, you know, when you're feeling a little like need to escape. I've read an Ashley Poston. Have I read two? I might have read two. And she's cranked out two more that I had not read. And so I figured I would like these two. That's The 7-Year Slip, Ashley Poston. And I like her covers. You might notice a theme. I like the color schemes. I like the font choices. And I like the graphics. They're always a little like a whimsical. The last one I read had like a ghost theme to it. And let's see. She's a book publicist. She had a beloved aunt. She moves into her late aunt's apartment and finds a strange man standing in the kitchen. Who's a Southerner? Except he exists in the past, 7 years in the past to be exact. Oh, so it's kind of like the Lake House. So I'm interested in how she works with that trope. That's interesting. I love the Lake House. I still have the DVD and I watch it, I don't know, every couple of years. That was a good movie. Let's see. I go live for chatty chats. Yeah, I don't really do sprints anymore. They don't tend to work for me anymore. Strange Weather in Tokyo is a big age gap romance book. It's brilliant by Hiromi Kawakami. Ooh, a groundskeeper. That just made me laugh. Just asking personally if you go live, Margaret, for only chats or also sprints. I noticed your shelves for the first time, so I noticed you were back at your own place. Yes. Yes. Back here. Love a good tortoise. Oh, he's the bad guy. Not the tortoise. The bad boy. Yeah. Bad boy. Bad guy. Not the same thing. Yeah. Keanu. Oh, yeah. The Lake House. If you don't know, The Lake House is a romantic movie with Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. So the speed duo. And they're separated by like 2 years, and they figure it out by writing letters to each other through a mailbox. And it's set in Chicago, and it's got a good ending. So yeah, I'm wondering how she's going to do 7 years. Can't wait 7 years. So, and then the other Ashley posted is a novel love story. And again, the cover game is strong. It's branded very similarly and a little pop, but a little elegance to me. Since we're talking about covers. Let's see. That was a book publicist, and this one, she's going to her book club's annual retreat, but her car unexpectedly breaks down, and she's stranded in a quaint town that seems like it's right out of a novel, because it is. So it's like Brigadoon. Okay, she's doing like retellings of things that I recognize. Elloraton, the town from her favorite romance series. Except there's a character in Elloraton who she can't place. A grumpy bookstore owner. Oh, boy. Oh, so again, sort of like a fantasy slip. Instead of a time slip, there's like a bit of unreality that comes into play in these romances. So that's like, I don't know. That must be something that I enjoy, because I've liked her other books and other books that do that. So yeah. About an hour, Erin. But I go through them all at the top of the hour, so you can try that. This is a reread. So I bought this and I reread it because I unhauled these books, and then I was like, no, I really like them. This is the Stephanie Barron series about Jane Austen as an amateur detective, and this is Jane and the Ghosts of Netley. It's sort of Northanger Abbey adjacent ghost story stuff, but mostly trying to find a spy on the South Coast. So you need to know a little bit about politics of Regency Britain, but very smart. I love Stephanie Barron. So yeah, I love the series, and I just had to have it back, and I read it when I got it, and it made me happy. Final romance, and I'm not sure if this is a romance because I haven't read it. It's called The Book of Love. Why is it? I guess it's supposed to be backwards. And it's by Kelly Link. And this was a gift. So I didn't buy this. This was a gift from a friend for my birthday. And it's a crazy sort of love story. So I'm not sure if it's a romance, but it's about love. 3 teenagers become pawns in a supernatural power struggle. So they die, and then they're like arguing about what they do in the afterlife, something like that. Someone recommended it to me and then gave me a copy, and it's got a really pretty cover and a really celebrated author. So odds are that it's going to be a good read. It's quite a chunky read. And again, if you want to buddy read any of these, please drop it in the comments, especially if you already have it or can find a used copy, because we like economies that recycle. So that's romances. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 categories left, folks, but they're getting smaller and smaller. Does anyone else know how to sing this? Oh, I wonder who wrote the Book of Love. I got that song reference. I don't think that was in the right key, but that's fine. Rachel says, last response, note about Stephanie Burgess. She's a hybrid author. Okay, so I was right. She went from indie to hybrid. My favorite by her is The Dragon with a Chocolate Heart. I think I've heard you mention that one, maybe for a book tag. That sounds cute. Oh, late response. Gotcha. All right, so that was romances. Let's move on to the other genres, horror, memoir, and mystery that don't hit the other genres. So one each, horror, memoir, and mystery. All right, well, that's interesting. These are all the ones that are hardcovers. I wonder why that would be. So one of these Leslie will be excited about. We Survive the Night by Julian Brave Noisecat. Now this is a horror, but I think I'm going to be able to make my way through it because I've listened to him in an interview and his life is so crazy, like ripped from the headlines, true crime fiction, amazing story of a person who succeeds against terrible odds. So he's an Indigenous writer, sort of in between America and Canada because of where he was born, where he grew up, where he came back, where he's writing. And so it's sort of both. But yeah. Wait, is it fiction? No, this is memoir. Okay, 2 memoirs. Memoir 1, Indigenous fiction. Awesome. Very excited about that one. Memoir 2, Star Trek fiction. So I always say Sir Pat Stew in my head because he had a brilliant Twitter account before I stopped using Twitter. But that is, of course, Sir Patrick Stewart. And the memoir is Making It So. He is always delightful whenever I see him on a show, such as the Graham Norton show, or others, and he is just as delightful as Sir Ian McKellen, my other hero of the generation. Both Shakespearean trained and just the humor. They're just so funny and warm. They come across that way, and so I thought I'm not a big memoir reader, but here I have 2, and we'll see if I try to assign them to a readathon or what, but I just thought they'd be interesting. And then a mystery. So it's a mystery that's not a romance because that was the reread. It's called Death at High Tide by Hannah Dennison, and it's got a cat on the cover. It's the start of a series called The Island Sister Mystery. And where is it set? Which island? Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly. So Evie Mead's husband, Robert, suddenly drops dead of a heart attack. A mysterious note is found among his possessions, indicating that Evie may own the rights to a crumbling hotel on Tregarrick Rock, one of the Isles of Scilly off the coast of Cornwall. So she wants to sort of not deal with it, but her sister Margot flies out from LA and envisions a luxurious weekend getaway. However, it's more of a fixer-upper. So we've got a delightful old home renovation, which I love. And the foul-tempered hotel owner claims he's never met the late Robert despite mounting evidence. So what is afoot? So yeah, so that just looks like a cute, cozy mystery. I hope it's not like a cringe cozy mystery because I will DNF those so fast. But it looked really pretty. So this is the kind of cover that I like as well. Good font, good color scheme. Not graphic, but like neat illustrations. There's some illustrations I like. So yeah. I contain multitudes. All right, so Capo said the monotones. We're guessing here. I don't know the answer. Someone who knows the answer? Julie's guessing Dion and the Belmonts. Gareth says, yeah, I love doo-wop and have many doo-wop CDs. So what's the answer? Laura says, I love that you go off screen and we hear random banging noises each time. What is that from? I think that's just when I pick up the books, the other books fall. So they don't bang when they fall on the couch. So eventually you will hear 0 banging noises when I finish. My third What? What? Okay, Erin, we need to straighten this out. Patrick Stewart. I want to read that Patrick Stewart book. I'm a big fan. Yeah, I bet that is a great audiobook. Yeah. Yeah, that's true too. Sir Pat Stew is a treasure. Agree. And Kara says, and I love Graham Norton's show. Yeah, same. I haven't watched any clips in a while. They keep trying to feed me The Crown. YouTube's algorithm having changed. Who was I just writing to about the algorithm changing? There's another creator who is talking about that, and it's interesting. I think they're both right. Both bands recorded it, I think. Okay. Cisco is my favorite, and Cat Paw's got the link. All right, so I'll star that to it later. The Book of Love song reference for anyone not clued in. Isn't it Star Trek event time? What do you mean? Oh, Gareth says Cisco is my favorite. Cisco and Kirk before Picard for me too. Yeah. French? What's French? Oh, too French. He's not even French. He's French Canadian. Hello. All right. So that is 2 memoirs and a mystery. And then I have historical fiction, which is 3, all unread. Historical fiction. All right, that was a book just hitting a book. That wasn't a bang of anything falling. That's it. Is that what you're hearing? Okay, so the 3 historical fictions are The Lance Thrower by Jack White. And I love that I had no clue Lance Thrower is going to end up being Lancelot. It's just duh. But yes, this is the Jack White series. It has to do with Arthurian historical fiction, meaning not the fantasy element of like The Lady in the Lake, but like how historical events might have led themselves into being growing into legends like that. And yeah, so we've got the Roman legions who are leaving. We've got the sort of hybrid society that springs up after that. And this is a few later. So I think I read maybe 4 books in, and this is maybe like the 6th, something like that. So I figured I could skip one. Clothar, the son of a Frankish lordling, attends one of the few schools in Europe where logic and philosophy are taught along with battle techniques. His family is destroyed by a heinous act of betrayal. Clothar flees for his life, and he ends up in the court of the new High King of Britain, Arthur Pendragon. So I like that it's like a plausible explanation for the King Arthur legend. That's just my magical mystery brain enjoying that possibility. So that would be a return to a series I abandoned long ago. This is an author I haven't read, A.J. Pierce. The book is Yours Cheerfully. This is like a hardcover, but it's very pretty, sort of vintage look to it. This is, also the only one I have that has sprayed edges. Isn't that cool? Little typewriters. London, September 1941. This also may be a buy because I was watching Foyle's War and it's such a good series. And now I have to wait for the next season on hold from the library because my parents have Acorn subscription and I do not. So we're waiting for the library. Following the departure of formidable editor Henrietta Bird from Women's Friend magazine, things are looking up for Emmeline Lake as she takes on the challenge of becoming a young wartime advice columnist. So, a woman main character, wartime, professionalism. What could go wrong? And the last historical fiction, of course, as anyone will guess, because I haven't talked about it yet, it's going to be the one that I was lobbied to read. And again, I just want to emphasize, I love doing buddy reads. So if any of these are in your library and you want to read them with me, it's a good thing I'm ending soon. Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel is a modern classic, but I didn't include it in that grouping because I think it's more of a popular book than a modern classic. A lot of people talking about it. So a lot of discussion. Of course, this is King Henry VIII's time and a historical researcher who makes a very vivid world-building atmosphere for her literary plots. I don't know. We'll see. I think in the live stream that Mike and Steve had when they were discussing it, they highlighted that it was a counterpoint to how we usually see Thomas Cromwell. But I think I've already seen one side of Thomas Cromwell from the Matthew Shardlake books. So I'm curious like what other sides will be shown to me in this one, and how that reflects on Hilary Mantel. So have never read any of her books. I was in the allergic to hype camp, and so I was sort of staying away from it, but he convinced me. Let's see. The Monotones wrote and recorded in 1958. Yes, we have our internet librarian. Thank you, Constance. The Monotones wrote the Book of Love and made the first recording. All right, so Greg's got the same. Constance wins. She got it out first. Not often, Greg. Funny. Technically, Julie wasn't wrong. Yeah. And Greg says, I was thinking about a particular appearance of Patrick Stewart on the Graham Norton show. Yeah. Loved him and McKellen on that show together. They're so good together. And Rachel enjoyed Foyle's War too. I'm on season 4. So I think there's 10 seasons, but they only have 4 episodes each. So I've got a while to go and a lot to put on hold at the library. McKellen owns a pub near where Aaron lives. Never actually gone in. Well, that's a must do, I would say. Yeah. Shocked face by Laura. Diane says, oh, I meant the Booktube events. I think there's one coming up for Star Trek. Oh. Isn't it Star Trek event time? What would that be? Is it July? Is it June? I don't know. That would be good. Wolf Hall is my favorite historical fiction book ever. Wow. Okay. Summer of Trek technically starts in June, I think. Okay. Well, there we go. And Gareth says, Diane, it's Book Trek, an all summer event I used to co-host. Okay. Summer of Trek or Book Trek? Either one. Same idea. Very nice. All right. So that's my 3 historical fictions. Some better known than others. And then there's one left. What is the only book left? Oh, no. How did I do this? Okay. I missed a category. I missed the science fiction and fantasy category. So for that one, we have Left Hand of Darkness, which I already talked about. We have Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer, which I think is young adult, but it got so many good reviews. I thought it sounded really good. And I love the cover. That's really cool. That's a really talented artist. And then The New Sons 2. So this is the cover I was talking about, like at the very beginning. And if whoever said that is not around anymore, I apologize. But so short works by many different authors about speculative fiction, authors of color, edited by Nisi Shaw. Forward by Walter Mosley, including stories by Kay Tempest Bradford, Darcy Little Badger, Nai Vo, John Chu, and many others. And I'm just like, oh, look at that. It's so vibrant. So I thought that would be a good one if I need science fiction or authors of color in science fiction, perhaps. And those are science fiction and fantasy. This is the one left over. It's nonfiction. It's contemporary. It's true crime. I don't know. Is it memoir? People have read this, so tell me if there's any other genres it fits in. But Say Nothing: A True Story of Murder and Memory in Northern Ireland by Patrick Rodden Keefe. I've heard great things about this, and of course I've studied the Irish political scene, and this is a little bit before when I studied, but I imagine it's going to be, oh wow, that's tiny. That's the reference print though. That's not the real print. That's the real print. Still pretty small. We got pictures. I think it's going to be pretty intense, but I think that'll be, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I found it and I thought, well, I like keeping tabs on the situation. even though this is pretty far removed. But I think what I will find when I read it is that there's disturbing parallels to situations today, as is what usually happens with really good nonfiction. Human nature. Well, thank you all for sticking with me for this long. Here's the question of the day. Boop. There we go. Which one should I attack first? And I'll put this in the comments down below and pin it because that's a lot to choose from. 41 books, and I've read 7 of them. So that is 34 to choose from. Again, buddy read if you want to buddy read with me, and which is the first one that I should read. So Greg says my favorite historical fiction book ever is The Keening, which is high praise. Thank you. That is my book over here on subtle display. If you wanna purchase a copy, you can from Draft to Digital, paperback or ebook. I doubt I will get the $100 mark of net revenue to not have to pay the fee that everyone has talked about, but it's okay. That's all right. You can only read Trek on sunny days, which is why it only lasts 4 days in England. What? Why? Why would that be a thing? Say Nothing. Yes. Anthony Horowitz, who wrote Foils War, also wrote Magpie Murders, Moonflower Murders, and one more. Yeah. Say Nothing, I would call narrative history. Okay. Say Nothing is an award-winning book. Sounds kind of intense to me. Yeah, sounds intense, but good. I absolutely love Say Nothing. It's history as told by a journalist, not a memoir. Okay, learned so much from this book. Excellent. Attack Say Nothing first, says Diane. Oh boy. Garrus vote is for Claws and Contrivances, which I think might be the book that he came in on, which is hilarious. All right, well, that's 2 votes. I will take that under consideration. I'll probably give a few days for folks. We've got a vote for Wolf Hall. You know, these are bigger. Let's see. What do I have? So, okay, here's the other thing. Current reads. What are we doing for current? Oh man, I had banners for all this shit and I did not even use them. Dang it. All right, current reads. What are people's current reads? I have a few, and they're kind of big. So I don't know if I'm going to dive into a big book after this. Library book, The Origins of Totalitarianism by Hannah Arendt. The Memory Police from Leslie. And this is going to be the last book for Mr. B's readathon. So appreciate that. By Yoko Ogawa. The travel literature about Cornwall I picked up in Portland recently. The Living Stones, Cornwall by Ethel Colquhoun. I think that's how you pronounce it. Radio Treason by Rebecca West. The first time I've read Rebecca West. She's a predecessor of Joan Didion. I thought I'd try her out because this is an interesting topic. My dad hadn't heard of Lord Haw-Haw, but I'm sure Americans have heard of Tokyo Rose. So I don't know how well known this is. I knew about this. This is a British guy who was the voice of Nazi Germany telling the British folks to surrender during the Blitz and during the time of the war. And this is his trial as told narrative history by Rebecca West. So that's some dirt dug up there. And then this one is one I've had on my wish list for a while. It's a library one called Shubeik Lubeik by Dina Muhammad. This book is read right to left because it's from the Arabic cultural tradition and it's about someone who gets wishes. And it's a graphic novel. So it's actually pretty good. It's pretty big too. I'm not very far in. So those are my current reads, and I don't think I'm going to jump into a big, dense book right now. But it's May, and I'm not doing any readathons for May. In June, I have Pride, I have Juneteenth, and I have there was one other thing I can't remember. But yeah. So we'll see. We'll see which ones I would pick up for that. How about you guys? Music. Julie, what was this for? Refresh my memory. I vote Wolf Hall for dinner, say nothing for dessert. Do you want me to crash and burn, Aaron? Come on. Greg says, I remember hearing about the troubles here in America, but I knew the basic conflict and a few names like Bobby Sands and Jerry Adams, but little else. The Good Friday Accords. This filled the gaps for me. Yeah, I imagine that'll be the case with me as well. Gareth read a vampire story today and going through the Walking Dead comics. Nice. Love that cover for Radio Treason. Yeah, it's pretty stark. I think it's pretty dramatic, right? That's the guy who was a propagandist for the Nazis and was a traitor and was executed as one. So Julie says, I'm reading a play called Cost of Living by Martina Majok for May's Endless Drama event by Angelia at Read and Reread. Cost of Living. That sounds familiar, but I don't recognize the author name. The playwright name. That's very cool. Endless Drama. I'm assuming that's like a play reading event. That's cool. Greg says, I just finished Rob Roy by Walter Scott, which is the group read this month. Music was a mistake. Okay, disregard. Catpot is reading Bad Mexican by Kelly Hernandez. Sounds like a good one. Is that memoir or fiction? I don't think I know of that one. Aaron says, on the UK TV, they used to dub Jerry Adams' voice, but with another Irish man's voice. Because he was unintelligible or because they were like censoring? That's strange. I remember that. Never really understood the point of it. Yeah. Interesting. Research. So Bad Mexican. So I'm guessing it's nonfiction. Okay. Constance is reading the book Severance. Really good. The author is named something Ma, I think, and I can't remember the first name. I've heard things about that book. Okay. Diana is reading another book with Mexican in the title, Mexican Gothic. Also, The Gray Woman and The Lifted Veil for horror mayhem. Ooh, that's a nice little roundup for horror mayhem. That's fun. That's fun. The ghost, what was the ghost book that I was talking about? The Highland Dragon's Lady. That was actually a pretty good, like a pretty strong ghost story. There was someone who was a bad person in the past and they had died and they were like holding on to this house and then they were banished from the house and they were like in the forest and manipulating things and it was good. It was good. Ling Ma. Okay. I almost said that and then I wasn't sure. So excellent. I'm glad you're enjoying that one. Oh man, you guys are reading some great books. Sweet. All right. So current reads, TBR reads at some point. So yeah, buddy reads, or which book should I attack first? Tell me down below. Other than that, I will paste in all the buy links if you're interested in any of these or feel like doing some bookshop.org shopping. The affiliate links will be down below in the description, and I appreciate any patronage that you can throw my way. Otherwise, it is Friday, so happy Friday, everybody. I will see you again on Wednesday. The video on Wednesday is going to be a double tag of Monty Python and Kate Bush. So Gareth will want to tune in for this one. Unfortunately, I don't know much about Monty Python, and I know even less about Kate Bush, but I'm here for the questions. That's why book tags, you know, the prompts can't be dependent on the topic. Otherwise, we would never be able to answer them. It's not too horror-y. Okay. All right. There we go. Rachel's a light horror reader, and I really enjoyed Mexican Gothic. Yay, my tag. Yeah, could be. I haven't put in the details yet, so it's just in my book, and I've written down my answers. Woohoo! So Aaron will want to tune in for that one too. So Wednesday, 10 a.m. Pacific, that's 6 p.m. British summertime. He's just a super Kate Bush fan, so I'm sure he's done Aaron's tag already, right? Right? Cool. Well, thank you everyone for being part of the community. I'll maybe see you Wednesday if you're fans of Monty Python or Kate Bush. Otherwise, see you on the replay and hope you have a lovely weekend. Take care of yourselves and happy reading. Bye.